Welcome to the Dad Show podcast. How y'all doing? Today is part 3.
And you get on your phone because you want to de-stress, or you turn on your favorite show, or you got the game on and you're like, don't bother me, I got the game on. Your kids are going to know you're not to be bothered at any point, and they're going to start looking for other avenues to connect.
Yep.
And it's not a spot you want to be in with your kids.
Brandon Janis was on the podcast last week, and he hit the nail on the head. Our kids want to be us. They want to do what we're doing. Yep. So if we're outside smoking, if we're outside vaping, if we're always on our phone, if we're always buried in a TV, in substance abuse, whatever, our kids want to mimic and do, for the most part, what us as parents are doing. So they're going to do it. And it's exactly what you just said a few minutes ago about that connection. They want a connection with us.
Yeah.
They don't want to text us from their bedrooms. They may want to, but they don't really want to. Yeah. You know what I mean? They don't, they need this face-to-face, this conversation, the parents showing up and saying, we care about you. Like, I want to listen to you. I want to know what's going on in your life. I want to know what makes you happy. I want to know what makes you sad. I want to know what I can change to be a better father to you.
Yeah.
Like, what makes you feel loved? What makes you feel like, and I think about this the other day, and it was a failure, but it was a perfect point for me to be able to give Lincoln, like, he came out of school and he's like, Dad, I said the pledge today on intercom. Are you proud of me? And I was like, son, I'm proud of you. I don't care if you do the pledge.
Yeah.
I don't care if you go rob a bank. I am proud of you no matter what. Now, you can do stuff to make me happy. You can do stuff to make me sad or mad or, disappointed, whatever. I want you to know 100% all the time, I am proud of you. There's nothing you can do to make me more proud of you. There's nothing you can do to make me less proud of you. And kids need to hear that, man.
Oh, like, they do. And it's so funny because I say that at schools as they're leaving. So as they're leaving the auditorium of the gym, I fist bump, I high five, and they have this thing now where it's dap me up, like dap me. So I do that with them. But every time I do one of those things with them, I look at them and I go, I'm proud of you. And you know what's different is they get this look on their face like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why are you proud of me?
Like, what did I do to deserve that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we've built this society that for kids to think that you have to do something for someone to be proud of you.
Yeah.
They have so much value and worth. And that's why I'm proud of them.
Yes.
Because whatever they're walking through, they're still here, they're still fighting, they're still going through it. They're still trying to manage it, whether they vape or drink or use tea, whatever it is, they're still here.
Yes.
And I'm proud of them for that.
Yeah.
And it's eye-opening to say I'm proud of you, and them just kind of be like, what? And then they'll like turn around and look at their friend and they're like, it's your turn now. Like, you got to go through the awkward moment now, and I do it again, and they're just kind of like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
But I know that there are kids that sit in those bleachers and those auditoriums that they get up, they get dressed, they come to school, they get dropped off, or they get off the bus, they walk in the school, and by the time they walk in the doors to their classroom, they have not heard I love you one time.
Yeah.
Not once. I know those kids exist, and they're in our schools today, and I want to make sure, I know that God has sent me to make sure that they feel loved and valued.
Well, how validating is it, man, that you don't speak one part of the gospel through your whole speech, and every single time Jesus' name comes up? I mean, how much more validating can it be? That's not a coincidence.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
not a coincidence.
So you're 100% doing God's work. And man, it breaks my heart to think about those kids that are in the homes that the only break that they get from being beat, sexually abused, whatever the case may be, verbally abused, is at school.
At school.
And they want to come, like, like I remember being young and we had a snow day. I would be so excited.
Oh, I know.
I didn't have to go to school. Thank you, God, for all the snow outside, so I don't have to go to school. But then those kids look out their window and they see the snow.
Yeah.
And they just start like, oh no, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. And that's the only break they get is when they come to school. That just breaks my heart, man.
I asked kids this morning, I said, what brings you joy? What makes you joyful? And I heard, like family and my dog, and one kid said Jersey Mike's, and I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I got to one student, and she said school, and I was just like, I have to wonder why. Maybe it's just because she loves school, maybe it's whatever, but I know that there are kids, they get to eat at school,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, they're going through some things that we could never even imagine. And you had said something earlier about how they want to do what we do, right?
Yeah.
And it's that nature and nurture portion, so we can pass down our addictions and through nature, right, through DNA.
Yeah.
But we can also nurture them into negative behaviors as parents, or as guardians. We can nurture them into smoking. We can nurture them into not having anger management.
Yeah.
We can nurture them into those things, and then now we have chaos in the home because we're both like that. And I don't know if you've ever lived with anybody that's like you, but do we really like ourselves?
My son is that boy wants to test me every second of every day.
But he's just like you,
exactly.
And that's like, why,
Yeah.
But when you have that, it can be chaotic, especially if it's, emotional, if it's drugs or alcohol or, dysregulated emotions and stuff like that. It's chaotic. And then they're, I'd rather not be here in this home. And sometimes you would feel that way. Like,
exactly.
I'm not going to go home to my family because it's all chaos.
Yes.
And I don't want to be there, and I'll just like bring it all full circle. If you turn your life and hand it over to God and go, God, my anger, I can't handle it. You can.
Yes.
God, my addictions, I can't handle them. You can.
Yeah.
My marriage is out of control. Take it.
Yes.
You do that. And again, we're not saying it's going to be sunshine and roses.
Yes.
But man, you're going to start to see the blessings in it, and you're going to think differently.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about you, but when I hand things over to God, I start to think differently, and it's in more of a positive way.
Yes. Yeah.
I can be a negative thinker.
Yeah.
But when I like, okay, God, I don't know about, what's going to happen with this issue. You handle it. And then sometimes a thought will pop up and it'll remind you, like, remember, you don't have that handled.
Yeah.
And then your thought process is, yeah, but God does. And I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to dwell on it. I don't have to be anxious about it. Like, it's his.
Yes.
And it's not mine. Whatever he decides.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with it.
But it's easy to say that.
It is.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do. But once you do it, and this is one thing I tried to keep myself on that track, something simple as my son giggling. Thank you, Jesus, for him giggling.
Yep.
Thank you for his joy. Like every little bit to help me continue to let him control it.
Yeah.
Is thank you for this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Being grateful,
Yeah.
showing that and acknowledging that's because of you. That's not because of anything
Right.
I did. That's because of you.
Yeah.
And, that helps keep me on track of continuing to give it to him to know, yes, you've got it. You're continuing to take care of it.
Yeah. My like kind of adding into that, my kids snore. They all snore. I can't sleep when people snore. And we always, in that little house that caught on fire, I mean, you could hear everything in that house,
Yeah.
and they would snore and I'd be up all night. We had our fire and the Red Cross took us to a hotel and I was up, like my adrenaline's going, I'm up, everybody else goes back to sleep and I hear my kid snoring. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus,
Yes.
that I get to hear that sweet,
Wow.
sweet, awful noise that's coming out of their throat and their nose, but I was just so thankful for it.
Yes.
And that mindset of the things that can annoy us, there are things that can happen in our lives to where we appreciate it more than anything in the world. And
think about all the adversity that you went through, all the hard that you went through in your life. And now that where you are today, you're thanking Jesus for every single bit of it.
Yeah.
Because it made you the man, the husband, the father, the witness to all these youth and the speaker that you are today.
Yeah.
Like without all that, you're not.
No. Yeah. And I hate to even use the word, but like just a normal guy probably, and it doesn't mean I wouldn't go to church and, live the 9 to 5 or work in a factory or whatever. But, I'm who I am today because God knew the plans that he had for me before I was ever in the womb.
Yes.
And he knew the adversity that I would go through.
Yeah.
And he made me, like he made me. and I'm where I'm at today because of all of that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking earlier when you said like how hard it is to hand your kids over to him. If you think about that he made us and he knew us before we were ever in the womb, how hard is it for him?
Exactly.
To let us
I've never thought
come
of it
into
that
this
way.
earth and deal with all the things that we have to deal with. And he's just giving us the free will to trust him.
Yes.
And to love him and to glorify him and to praise him.
That's powerful, man, to think about. Like, wow.
I know.
Because, it's so hard whenever my wife and I have to make a decision of whether my daughter needs this or our daughter, not my daughter. My wife would kill me if she heard me say that, but she is a daddy's girl. I wouldn't have to say that.
Edit it out.
But, when we make a decision on our daughter, like it is so hard for us to know. And I mean, back to me weeping so hard that I couldn't even think of a prayer because I knew what my daughter was going to have to go through. And my wife and I made the decision to go through that. And what you just said is so powerful, man, to think that God knows how this world is. God knows how deceiving and terrible and conniving the devil is. For him to I'm making this child to put into that.
Yeah.
I'm sending them in to the fire.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never thought of it that way. That's powerful.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like he knows this world and he knows that Satan has roamed it. I mean, from the very moment he put Adam and Eve on this earth, the devil was in there, trying to convince them that God didn't matter.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it today. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it through social media. We're seeing it through TV. We're seeing it through all this other stuff. And yet God still continues to say, I'm going to let you go have free will. I love you. I created you. I know you.
Yes.
And now you have the free will to go and choose me or not. How hard is that for a father to do? How, I think about me just taking Jake outside and going, hey, there's the world. You've got 3 months.
Yeah. Go
test it out. Choose it or choose me. If it works out for you, great. If it don't, whatever.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either.
No.
I couldn't do it either.
I don't even know that I'll be able to do it when my kids are of age, adults, to be able to go out and,
He's 21.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
But, still though, you're just, God's letting us figure this out.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I'm here. Don't forget your father is here.
Yeah.
But if you do, I still love you and I'll receive you when you remember. It's the prodigal son.
Yeah.
That's true. Give me my riches now.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving.
Yeah.
and I can't do it. I can't make it. I'm going back home to Dad. And Dad's like, yeah, been waiting for you.
Yeah.
Where you been? Got a meal inside.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what God has done with me. And I see it I see it every day. You know, just running from him and choosing everything else but him.
Yes.
And the moment that I just surrendered, he's like, yeah, none of that even mattered.
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Grace.
Yeah. Grace.
Yes.
Grace.
And I don't want to say that my daughter's illness was to change me, but it did 100%.
Yeah.
God knew, I still wasn't the husband I needed to be. I wasn't the father that I needed to be. I was doing stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. And, God knew that nothing else would turn my wicked ways except hit me 100% where I put my everything. And when we got Kennedy's diagnosis, man, I mean, I was a social drinker. I'd go out and I say I was a social drinker. I could go out and drink one with you, or I'd go out and drink a case with you, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But I wasn't at home. Whenever I drank, I wasn't the man, the husband, or the father that I needed to be.
Yep.
And so on Kennedy's diagnosis, I said, God, I know you don't make deals. I'm not making a deal with you.
Right.
Whenever I drink, I know this is one thing I sin at every time. I'm not saying that drinking alcohol is a sin. Like, that's between you and God and what you know. And I don't judge people for if they drink. Like, that's like I said, once again. But I knew what I did whenever I drink, and I knew it was a sin, not the alcohol. Yeah. What I did when I had the alcohol in me.
Right.
And so I said, God, I know you don't make deals. I'm not making a deal with you. Whether you heal my daughter here on earth or you heal her in heaven with you, this is one thing I sin at every time I do. I'm never touching another drop of alcohol.
Yeah.
And man, like, I haven't. I thank the good Lord. March of 2015 was the last drop of alcohol that I've had. We're now in 2024, 9 years out of that. I feel better, and man, just giving it all to Him.
I love it.
To take care of, to nurture, to protect.
Yeah,
it's so powerful, man.
You know, in 2002, Cara was pregnant with Jake, and I came home from work. I'd stopped at a bar. I'd went to a friend's house and got high, and I came home, and I walked through the door, and she's sitting in the kitchen. And I sat down, and I go, hey, what are you doing? And she looked me like dead in the eyes, and she said, I need you to be a husband and a father, or you can choose that life, but you have to decide tonight.
Wow. Wow.
What if I choose that?
Yeah.
Well, then go choose it and don't come back in this house.
Yeah.
Okay. I wish I could tell you that I chose correctly in the moment, but I left.
Yeah.
I walked out, and I walked out for 3 months. I was gone. I was living in a friend's garage. He had this old dingy couch and a TV inside the garage, and no air conditioning, no heat. It was just a garage. And I got drunk one night, went to bed, woke up the next morning. Well, woke up in the afternoon, and I just went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and thought, what are you doing? And I want to say that was my thought, but it wasn't my thought.
Yeah. God put it there.
God put it there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think she would answer.
At this time, though, you weren't a believer, or you were?
Wasn't a believer.
Still at this time. Okay.
Like now, I think that. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
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 I didn't think she would answer the phone if I called her, and I called her, and she answered, and I told her, I said, listen, I've made the wrong decision. I want to come home, and I want to be a husband and a dad. I don't want you to have to raise our child alone. And she said, we can meet, we can talk. And and we met up, and her conditions were, you have to get counseling, we have to go to marriage counseling, and you have to take parenting classes. Those are her conditions. And if you can meet those things, then yes, you can come home.
Yeah.
But I need to see you enter those things. And I tell people this sometimes, and even like the guys at work were like, oh man, like you got to get rid of her, man. She controls you and all that. And it's okay for your spouse to call you out, right?
Yes,
like,
yeah.
And that's all that she was doing.
Yeah.
Because she knew that if I didn't get that help, it was going to be harder for me to overcome the things I was trying to overcome. And I'm telling you, man, I started making appointments that day. I was like, oh, how soon can you get me in? Like, I need to be in tomorrow. You know, I don't want to live in this garage no more.
Yeah, exactly.
And I started making calls that day, and that was, I mean, that was the longest we've ever spent apart.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, like, a lot of people are like, man, married 22 years, like, is there still a fire there? So it's still a kindle? Man, we are in love.
Yeah.
But it's because it's marriage designed by God, not designed by us.
At the forefront of it.
Yeah. And there's grace and there's mercy at the forefront of it. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Like
that's my best friend. Like that's who I love being with. I love being with my wife.
Yeah. I'm the same way. It's so, like, so many people are like, oh, you got to spend time with other people, and I do.
Yeah.
But when I'm with other people, I'm like, man, I can't wait to go home and tell her about today and ask her about her day and make jokes and, you know, and just, we have this thing where I'll say, I love you. And she'll go, what day is it? And I'll go, Wednesday. And she'll go, oh, I can't love you on Wednesdays. I'm sorry. You'll have to wait till tomorrow. You know, and that's been our thing for forever. And, you know, I love it. I mean, it's just, and I know that she loves me on Wednesday. I know she loves me on Tuesday, but it's just that little playful game that we have, exactly, you know? And it was yesterday. We were at the store and I said, hey, I'm going to go, I don't know, look for bread or whatever. And I said, love you. And she goes, love you too. And I go, huh, all right. Must be my day.
Yeah.
You know?
Hit the jackpot.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, if you can find Christ, if you can believe that he's the Son of God, if you can believe that he lived a perfect life, and if you can believe that he died on the cross and rose 3 days later and ascended into heaven, if you can believe those things, man, your life changes.
Yes.
It changes. And it doesn't have to be an extravagant change.
No.
But man, it changes. Because I remember not being believers and the knockdown, drag out fights we would have.
Yes. You're
wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Go your separate ways and don't talk to each other for 2 days, you know? And now none of that stuff is important anymore.
Exactly.
My way is not important. Her ways, it's not important to her. It's does this glorify God?
And turning to God makes you less selfish.
Absolutely.
And self-centered too.
Absolutely.
Because it takes, like, instead of you feeling like I've got the power, I can take care of this. This is me. This is all me. This is all mine. No. When you realize that it is all God's and he's in control 100%, it takes the selfishness out of it. It helps you to be a better father, a better husband, because, you know, it's no longer my power. Yeah. It's our power. Yeah. It's us.
Yeah. It's so funny because if you get married before you're saved, it's stressful. I mean, and marriage is stressful anyways. I'm not saying that, but it's just like there's this extra, I don't even know what to call it, but it's there. Yeah. You know, and it's almost like you can't make the other person happy. That's how we felt for a long time. We couldn't make each other happy. And, you know, there was one time where I did all the laundry, put it all away, came home, and it's hung up wrong. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, do you know how long I worked on this? You know, kids' laundry, our laundry. I put it all away, fold it. You know what my chore is? What? It's laundry. Like, she's just like, you know what? I don't have to have the clothes hung up a certain way.
Yeah.
I don't have to have them, however I want them. If you're willing to do that,
Yeah.
and you're willing to serve me in that way, then have at it.
Yes.
And I love doing laundry.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. And she's just like, yeah, go for it. Have at it. But man, 15 years ago, forget it. I didn't touch laundry for a long time. I was like, I ain't doing it.
Yeah. If I can't hang it up correctly, then,
right? I'm not doing it.
That was a big one. I bring up Brandon's podcast. He lost his wife to cancer. And he's like, I came home from the hospital and 2-3 weeks went by and I started noticing stuff that she done that wasn't getting done that I never noticed prior to. Laundry, dishes, house being clean, girls' hair appointments being made, lunches being packed for school, and like he said, I'm not putting women into that bubble that they need to take care of the house and stuff of that nature, but that was just what she did.
Right.
And he's like, man, acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like acknowledge the little things throughout the day that your spouse is doing, husband or wife, or even your kids. Like if they're helping around the house, like, cause I think of it on my aspect. If I'm doing something, let's just take your laundry.
Let's take it.
Let's take that into action there. If I'm doing laundry and I'm working, like this is how I'm going to help around the house, and I do the laundry and I hang up the clothes, but yet you complain that I hung up the clothes wrong, that's going to make me not exactly what it done to you, make you not want to do laundry.
Yep.
And even if I do hang them up correctly and all's good and you don't complain about it, I may continue doing it. But when you acknowledge it and say thank you for doing that, even the smallest little thing, like that is going to get, just like telling these kids, or even when somebody tells me today, I'm proud of you.
Yep.
That gives me so much more fire to want to do it more.
Yeah.
And man, that's like, I can't say that enough.
And switch it to your kids now, right? Like what are the things that they do that we're not saying thank you for?
Yeah, exactly.
And I like gratitude it's one of the best family traditions you can have, right? It's not a tradition, but
exactly.
I mean, it's one of the greatest things that you can do as a family is be grateful for what they're doing and grateful for one another. I mean, when my kids are apart, if they spend time apart, we all recognize it. Like, and my two daughters, they're, what's the name of it? They're not twins, but they're 11 months apart. They have a name for it, but they act like twins. Yeah. And when they don't spend time together, like it's almost like there's this emptiness in our lives, and because they're grateful for each other, they love one another and they encourage one another. And for the most part, they're kids, but
they're siblings.
They're siblings. Yeah. But that's the thing that we're looking at is, when your kids do something for another sibling or another kid, celebrate that.
Yes.
Like rejoice in that. Tell them, hey, I'm proud of you. Thank you for doing that. You know what? I noticed that I dropped a wrapper on the floor 3 hours ago and I didn't feel like bending down to pick it up, but you got it. Like, thank you for doing that. Yeah. That simple motion of you going down on the floor helped me out so much more than you could ever imagine. I mean, thanks for letting the dog out. It's so simple. But we get so caught up in our day-to-days and we're busy and we don't notice those things. And man, I'm telling you, if your life's so much better if you just approach it with gratitude and thankfulness. Yeah.
That'll help out.
And speak it.
Yes.
Don't just hold it to yourself. Be like, I do like when they say that, or when they do that chore. I appreciate that. Tell them.
Yeah. Overly communicated.
Tell them. Yeah. Overly communicated. Yes. It's so funny because I've worked in prevention for years, right? Like, don't do drugs. Vapes are bad. Nicotine is bad. Here's what it does to the brain. Here's what THC does to the brain. Let me tell you about what I was like when I was your, like, I do this to my kids all the time. Yeah. And so sometimes I walk through the door and I'm like, hey, can I tell you something? They're like, no. We are preventioned out.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. We're not doing drugs, okay? Like, it drives them, but I'd rather over communicate it than not communicate it at all, and then see them fall into this trap of what they've inherited from me.
Yes.
You know? And I mean, you can't over communicate love.
Oh no, not enough.
You can't do it.
No.
If it was possible, what Jesus did on the cross wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to watch part 3 and come tomorrow to watch part 4. Thank you for listening to the Dad Show podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Dad Show podcast. Please like, review, and subscribe.